Hi guys, how you be today? Today is April, 24th, 2018. How does it get any better? We are finally getting rid of the snow. I'm so happy about that. Just for a change, that's all. It's just nice to have the sunshine and be able to walk on the grass and just enjoy being outside, which is something my body seems to desire a little bit more this year, more than I've ever known or acknowledged before. So anyways, today, welcome to the Living Life with Laurie show, and today is episode 6. And today I wanted to talk about, I wrote it down, just hold on a second. To have to be right or to not be wrong. Kind of like, what a conundrum. What a lot of pressure. Holy mackerel. So, like I have mentioned, my hubby has been gone since the 12th. So for like 12, 13 days already, to Europe with our daughter. And they're back in another 7 days. So still got some more time here. And while they have been gone, now, usually my husband, him and I always sort of like talk about everything together, talk about how we're going to handle something if something breaks down or we need to get something or fix something. There's kind of areas where we both look after things on our own. And there is definitely a cohesiveness that we have with, kind of working together on most things. And so while he was gone, I got a notice for a recall for our RAV. We have a RAV4. It is 10 years old. She has been wonderful to us. And I got a recall. It was just for some seat thing. But at the same time, I had stopped and gotten some oil change. And, the guys at the place said, these couple of oils could need to be replaced or flushed or whatever. And we hadn't really done anything like that with her. So I went to our local mechanic. He took a look at it and he said, yeah, actually they do need to be done. He doesn't do it anymore just because he doesn't have the equipment for those kind of things. He just kind of does real basic stuff. So I booked an appointment at our dealership in Edmonton, which is the closest city to me. So off I went. Toodle toodle. Got my vehicle in there. They took a look at it and they're like, yeah, okay, we'll do this. It's probably going to cost you about, what was it going to be? About maybe $300 and $400, somewhere around there. So, she needed a bit of maintenance, so that was good. Anyways, a couple hours later, I get a phone call to come they wanted to know. They said they noticed some things. There was some other problems that actually really required fixing. And not surprising, the girl is 10 years old. So she needs a little bit of love and attention to keep the things from being creaky. And so anyways, we got that. I said yes to it. It then ended up being where it was going to be, like, no kidding. By the time everything was said and done, it was going to be well over $2,000. And so it kind of went into a bit of a beyond. And what I'm so, so grateful for is that I have such a great support system with girlfriends that I can text or call. And what I love is my ability, which is growing more and more, it's like a muscle, to be in question. So, what is right about this? So what's right about our vehicle requiring this much, work and maintenance and stuff done? And of course, then I kind of go into a bit of almost like a beyond because my hubby's not around. So I'm having to deal with this by myself. Am I going to make the right choice? Blah, blah, blah. Hi, Aloni. So anyways, that's fine. After I'd gotten off the phone and said yes to them doing all the extra work, I'd gone to my brother, who is where I was at the time. We were watching my nephew in a weightlifting competition. So I went over there and I said to my brother, like, do these blah, blah, blah things need to be done? And he laughed at me and kind of said, well, only if you want your vehicle to run. So anyway, so I felt really good because I felt like I had the universe have my back over something that felt like a really big choice, getting all this work done. Then I could just go to my brother afterwards and he'd say, yeah, you know, don't worry about it. It needs to be done, Laurie. So I'm like, okay, yay. So I picked the my vehicle up. Well, it was Thursday or Friday last week. Oh, Friday morning. That's what it was. Anyways, got home. Saturday, I go to leave for a wedding. And I go into my vehicle and there's all these codes on it. So I'm like, wow, this is really weird. Okay. Well, Saturday, I can't do anything about it. The service doesn't open at the dealership until Monday. So I'll go take a different vehicle to the wedding. So off I go. So Monday morning, get up, phone the service at Toyota, and I get in there and say to them, there's these codes on it. And they're like, you know what? If it has anything to do with the work that we've done, absolutely, you will not have to pay for anything. And we also need to know that we have your permission just to go in and do a diagnostics thing. It was like about $150 or something like that. Well, I mean, it needs to be done, right? So long story short, by the end of the day, it was another $1,500 that needed to be done on my vehicle. What I noticed is when this second repair ended up requiring being done, the girl was telling me, you know, we need this done. And, yeah, sorry, I just got a little squirreled there for a second. But I started to cry. And I was like, what is this? So I don't cry, like about something being really upsetting very much anymore. You know, I've done a lot of work on myself so that I don't cry. No, and I'm certainly not making crying wrong. But there's a difference. Like, you know, we cry for different things. We cry sometimes because we're sad, or we cry because of, you know, we're happy or we're grateful. But this time I was aware, like I was really upset about something. And so I was asking myself, like, you know, truth, Laurie, what is this? Like, what is this really? And what I discovered is that I was thinking that I was wrong. I was wrong that I had created this problem with the vehicle while my husband was gone. And that now with this repair, along with the other repair, it was a total of about $3,500 in like less than a week. And I chose not to tell my hubby about it just because he's going to find out when he gets home. And the poor guy, like, I want the guy to have a good time. He's in Europe for the first time in his life. And I want him to, number one, want to take care of this myself. Number two, I just really desire for him to have a good time. And I will actually tell you honestly that I have asked, and you know, with my light and heavy thing, I did ask, like, truth, does it actually create more to tell him about all the repairs on our vehicle? And I actually got heavy. So that's actually what I go by more than the reasons and the justifications of, you know, not telling him because I don't want to spoil his trip. Well, how do I know? It may not at all. Hey there, Tamara. Hi. 2 more sleeps. I'm going for supper with Tamara in 2 more sleeps. How did I get so lucky? So anyways, so I got this work done on the vehicle, and it was amazing how how upset I did get about it for a period of time. And I was so grateful that I had a friend that I could text and ask some questions of. You know how people love to send like prayer circles, you know, where prayer circles or ask for prayers or something, you know, when people are sick or whatever. Well, I have a group of friends that, you know, and Tamara's included, that I can reach out to and say, hey, can I have some contributions? And it could be because I'm doing something really fun and I'd love to have some contributions to create more in the fun. Or it could be even that it's what we would call not a great situation or an easy situation to deal with, and love to have contributions to have more ease with that situation. So what I discovered though was when I was really upset about getting the second bill for our vehicle that was going to cost, which, in this reality, in this world, $3,500 in 1 week for a vehicle repairs is a lot. I realized that I was going really, really, really going to the wrongness of me. And I just found that really fascinating. And so later on, I was actually chatting about it with a girlfriend because I put on some different audios. I've taken a lot of different classes over the years. And there's this one class that I took recently. It was the 3-month telecall series. It was once a week it was 12 calls anyways, once a week for 3 months. And it was this Stephen Bowman, and they're from Australia, and they're just absolutely brilliant with being the space of question in life. And one of the things that they really talk about is, what if nothing is a problem? Like really nothing. What if nothing is a problem unless we judge it as a problem? That's not saying there's not going to be challenges. There's not saying that there's going to be things that are going to be hard for us to deal with. That's not saying that things aren't going to come up and we're going to have to ask questions about it or be in the space of it. But what I noticed is, what if this actually wasn't a problem? So when I was in the initial upset of getting this second bill for the vehicle that was going to total now, $3,500 in less than a week, was that my initial reaction was that I had done something wrong. Now, how could I have done something wrong? And all I did was drive the vehicle. I didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing to be wrong. And if I looked at it as though, what if nothing was wrong and everything was a possibility, with what would be the possibility here? Well, as I sort of allowed and just sat with myself, because I've got like 3 different places my mind could go with this. What I've discovered is that when something really upsets me now, I actually really take the time to just sit with it. I do my best not to eat it away or distract myself on Facebook or just watch, say, television or something. And there are times that those kind of things are a contribution. And I'm aware that I don't desire to run from the upset anymore in my life. I like to sort of dive into the presence of it and allow myself to just be with it and to not make it wrong and to not make me wrong. So then when I allow that to sort of unfold, as I sort of get to what I call sometimes the other side of it, I discover that a different possibility or a whole new world of possibilities opens up. And so what I noticed for me is that we've had this vehicle for 10 years. She has about just over 300,000 kilometers on it. It's a Toyota. They can get up to 400,000. And for my hubby and I, that would be really fun. Just to say that we did. That we got a vehicle with 400,000 on it. And, so anyways, and while I was there at the dealership for about an hour and a half waiting for them to figure out what was wrong first, I actually did go and play and look around and look at the new vehicles. And so I could have spent $40,000 on a new vehicle, or I could spend $35,000 on a vehicle that will likely now be really good for at least another 3 years, which would probably get us pretty close to that $40,000. So it is actually something I was asking for. So what if my vehicle, in order to get to that $400,000 that my hubby and I have been asking for, required this work done to get it to that point? So imagine then if I judged it all as wrong and bad. Well, if I'm choosing that, it's like it negates the whole great like super cool fun asking that him and I have been doing. So that I was really grateful to be able to get to that place. And I got to tell you, the people were fantastic. Like, you know, from the technicians, when I came in the door with my vehicle, it was laughing. I had such a kind woman that I dealt with regards to finding out all about the parts and, you know, what was going to need to be done. They actually even, and most people, when you go into these dealerships, if you want to go anywhere for a few hours, they have a shuttle. So the shuttle will take you to a mall, or it'll take you to some place within the city, even a friend's or your own home if you live in the city. But they actually, because I asked, actually gave me my own vehicle. So I signed a loaner agreement for like 3 hours, and I actually left the city and went out and visited my mother-in-law. So I got to, you know, visit with her while my vehicle was getting fixed and taken care of. So really, how does it get any better? Not only that, it was really funny. I got to drive a Prius. I had never driven a hybrid before. It was funny. You don't even know that they've started when you've started them. It was pretty comical. And so that was an education in itself. It really was. So, yeah, but what I really noticed though is this awareness of where somewhere along the lines over my life, I had it projected onto me, or I bought it from others, that I had to be right. Now, and that I also couldn't be wrong. So they sound like the same thing. And they're not, they're similar, but trying to be right. Could you imagine how you have to go into the entire world around you to then decide what is going to be right in this situation or in that situation? So what would be right? Like, I realized that I had a rightness in my world that while my hubby was gone, nothing should go wrong. Like nothing. And because I actually, when I got home I needed to go to the city again today. I had a dentist appointment, then I had to pick something up. And when I got home, I found out our new puppies had chewed on this great big snowman that we had bought at Christmas time. And my hubby couldn't take it out of the ground before he left to Europe because it was still frozen. So the snowman was still standing and totally in good shape when I left this morning. And guess what? When I came home today, the two little buggers had chewed like a big hole like this on it. Like it was probably like a 2 foot by 1.5 foot hole on the bottom. And again, like it brought me to my knees again. Hey, Armina, how are you doing? The lady who makes beautiful trees. You guys should see Armina's little twisted trees that she makes with crystals, and then she puts wire all around it, and then she puts crystals on the branches. They're beautiful. She actually made me a beautiful one that I got personally made just for me. So check her out, you guys. It's really cool. Twisted Tree Creations. It's on Facebook. And so anyways, like I came home and I saw these puppies had chewed on it. And so close again after having the vehicle require so many repairs. And I just like went into this place of wrongness again, like jeepers, you know, my husband can't go away for 2.5 weeks and I got to have that done. And when I was at the dentist today, I needed a crown, and that's also going to cost some money. And then I come home and the snowman is chewed and stuff like that. And I realized it was such an unhealthy, incredibly high expectation place to function from. Like this sense of wrongness. And it's almost like I could find wrongness in just about anything. Like, you know, whatever that would be. Now, if you're going to have 2 puppies, and you're going to leave them at home and period, you're going to have 2 puppies. Just that, people. You are going to have some destruction unless you're going to follow them around 24/7, and good luck with that. So they are adorable, and they are pushing my comfort zone, and along with the vehicle repairs. And whatever I've made wrong, right about the fact that nothing should go wrong while my husband is gone and I'm looking after the place. And, and everything should go right. Like, oh my gosh, where does it allow for living in there? And, really people, I was like, because my mind just goes, right? I get into something is created in my world. I created, it's created. I can choose how I want to react to it. And I was looking at that and I was like, well, if no one ever had anything go wrong with their vehicles or require repairs, you wouldn't require dealerships. Then those people they would have to find different jobs. It's like this high expectation of life never having anything go wrong, and this high expectation of always having to have everything right. And whatever is that right? What if the rightest thing in the world was for me to have all those repairs? I got to handle them all by myself. I got to ask beautiful questions. I got to find out where I had unreal high expectations of myself, and lovely little places where I was still wanting to go to judgment of myself. How does it get any better that I was able to have a different possibility with that? And along with that, our RAV is now I really perceive, in really great condition to make that extra 100,000 that we would like it to make with extra kilometers up to 400,000. I mean, how much fun would that be, right? Be like, we hit 400,000. Okay, I'll do a show on the show that day. That'll be 3 years from now. So what else is possible, right? And anyways, it was just really acknowledging. And can you find that in your world where where you got the expectation, and whether it was projected at you, it was then expected of you, and then you begin to expect it of yourself, that you have to do everything right and that you can't do anything wrong. Whew, wow. And just could I invite you to a different possibility? I really had to choose that for myself today and the last couple days with all of this. And just what else is possible? And really, I went to the dentist. I mean, you'd have no need for dentists if we'd ever had needed to have any work done on our teeth or whatever. So yeah, it's like making our whole world wrong when everything has to be right. So we're resisting and reacting the very thing that we're creating by projections and expectations. I was listening to an audio today with Stephen Chutisa again, and they said if we were able to function from no conclusions, no projections, no expectations, and no judgments, just the freedom that we would have with that. Do you know another thing that they had said yesterday on their call that really stood out to me? Because in that moment when I was at the dealership yesterday and I was crying because I'm like, in my discovery of what that upset was, I heard them say that only ourselves can free ourselves from any of those judgments that we impose or we've been in the habit of putting on ourselves. That only that, because I used to function quite a bit before from a space of victim, victim of circumstance, victim of my body, victim of the hospitals, the healthcare system, a victim of just whatever, And it does, I know it's like I can hear in your head, it seems like a really strong word to use. Yet, whenever we're at the effect of something, that is actually choosing, that is actually being a victim. And so I was at the effect of a lot of things for a long time. And that we are actually the only ones that can free ourselves from that. That we are actually the only ones that can free ourselves from that. And so yesterday, when I got the second bill on how much the vehicle was going to cost, and I did go into that upset, I got to really acknowledge and support myself, knowing that I was the only one that could get myself out of it. You know, and in some ways it almost seems kind of silly, like, and really fortunate. I'm so grateful that we have the money in the bank to be able to pay for this. So it's not, so it wasn't like I couldn't even make that part up. You know, we actually were okay. I was able to pay for it. And, on this particular day, it was covered. And so it was really neat to see the upset that sometimes we choose with things, and where we can go with it, and that we're the only person that can get ourselves out of something. As much as I, over the years, have wanted other people to really help me out. And you know, that's another thing I called myself on this, is that while my hubby has been gone, I can't even blame any of my frustration or upset on him. I'm like, really? That's true story. So... Which, you know what is really cool? I just want to check the time. It's almost my half an hour. But what I did want to say is that when my husband decided to go with our daughter on this 2.5-week trip to Europe, a lot of people have said, you know, Laurie, how come you didn't go? And I realized at the time, it was actually an awareness that I had, that I said to my daughter, I said, you know, why don't you ask your dad? I wonder. And she was like, oh, I think that would actually really be a good idea. So it was my idea, but it was truly an awareness that came from wherever, because it wasn't like I went, okay, I'm going to have this idea. It was just, it popped into my head, and so I shared it. But what was really cool is the magic that this has created, a possibility for him to have a holiday at a really fast pace, because they've gone to like 4 or 5 different countries throughout their 2.5 weeks. And he's got to have a beautiful experience with his daughter. And I actually got something I was asking for that I didn't even realize I was asking for. I was actually asking for an experience. Like, I remember thinking, it's like without getting divorced, okay? It was like, I wish I could like live on my own and have an experiential time of just living by myself and seeing how I could actually handle life. Well, how much did my RAV contribute to that? So this trip, the RAV, me dealing with the puppies on my own, and just anything else that's come up has been all for me. And I've not been able to reflect or deflect it onto anyone else. So yeah, I would just love to invite you that if there's any place in your world that you've been looking where you have to be right, or you have to try not to be wrong, you know, just look at where that may have come from, return it to sender, and just ask for a completely different possibility, and then just have fun, you know. And what if nothing is a problem? I got that yesterday. It is going to be a muscle I'm going to build, because this, you know, when I did come home today and I saw the puppies chew on that thing, I did go to a place where it was a problem. But then I immediately, you know, well, okay, after 5 minutes, then, you know, got to the place of question. What's right about this? What if this wasn't wrong? You know, gotta have something to spend our money on, right? Like if we always had, and God, sometimes don't we want a new vehicle? Sometimes don't we want a new snowman or a new shirt or a new whatever because puppies chewed on it? So, yeah. Anyways, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. And for those of you listening on SoundCloud, thanks for listening. And love for you guys to subscribe. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, to my Facebook channel, to my SoundCloud channel, and yeah, and my website. I have emails that I send out every once in a while. So how does it get any better? Thanks so much again, you guys. Have a great day. Take care.